Hello, everyone. Welcome join today's webinar. Based on Institute for Essential Service Reform Study, Indonesia is technically and economically feasible relying on its energy system to utilize 100% renewable energy. GoodWe will try our best to support Indonesia to embrace solar energy and achieve the zero carbon emission dream. Today, we invited three honored guests to share their opinions with us. Also, we prepared good lucky draw in the end of today's webinar. Good luck to all of you. Dudi.
Oke, thank you Candice. Saya Budi, akan menjadi translator dan moderator pada sesi panel diskusi. Halo semuanya, selamat siang. Selamat bergabung di webinar hari ini. Berdasarkan studi dari Institute for Essential Service Reform dengan judul Deep Decarbonization of Indonesia Energy System, Indonesia secara teknis dan ekonomis layak mengandalkan sistem energinya untuk memanfaatkan 100% energi terbarukan. GoodWe akan mencoba memberikan yang terbaik untuk mendukung Indonesia merangkul energi surya dan mencapai mimpi zero carbon. Nah, pada hari ini kita mengundang 3 tamu yang terhormat untuk berbagi opini mereka dengan kita semua. Sebagai catatan, selama sesi pemaparan akan menggunakan bahasa Inggris, dan apabila ada pertanyaan dari peserta, dimohon untuk tulis di kolom pertanyaan. Dan nanti di akhir webinar, kami juga telah menyiapkan lucky draw untuk pemenang yang beruntung. Back to you, Candice.
Okay, thank you, Dudi, for your translation. Now, let's welcome today's first speaker, Senior Research Analyst Rishab Shrestha from WoodMackenzie, to share the regulation and potential of Indonesia electric power market with us. Let's see if solar will head the right direction and what are the missing pieces for paving forward the market development. Thank you, Rishab. You can share your screen.
Thank you, Candice.
Now we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Very excited to be in this panel. Today I'll be talking about Indonesia Solar Outlook, renewing ambitions for a net zero world. Before I move into my content, I just want to speak a few words about WoodMackenzie. We WoodMackenzie provide research and analysis and reports to clients who are interested in energy world, making client decisions in all the natural resources sector. We have offices all around the world, particularly in Singapore and in China for our Asia Pacific research services. We have acquired companies such as Make and Green Tech Media that provides market intelligence for solar and wind and also energy storage and grid edge services. We have a team of more than a dozen people just looking at this in Asia Pacific and over 600 across the globe. So without further ado, let's move on to our content. I think one thing that is clear in Indonesia over this year is that the policy direction is no longer uncertain, and the policy momentum towards higher renewable scale and higher decarbonized world is very much quick and happening very slowly. And to show that point, I want to show how, last November, Indonesia released the National Energy Grand Strategy, sort of trying to approach how to tackle climate change challenges from not just energy, but climate and other economic industry perspective. And soon after that, there was a net zero announcement by 2015 March. And then the industry reacted that Indonesia could do it much better. And in July, there was a net zero by 2060 or sooner. And there's peak emissions by 2030. So those are kind of the swift changes in policy direction that is supportive of renewables that we're seeing today. And similarly, you have the Rooftop, which is basically the National Development Plan, targeting 48% RE target by 2030, going higher to 51.6% by 2030. So this is also, again, the kind of step level higher to a renewable target that we see is a very quick change in raising their ambition on the decarbonization agenda. And also another very important point is, Indonesia has been a very coal-dominated country. It's one of the largest exporter, and coal makes a very important sort of signal of the power mix. But then even a country like this is passing carbon tax law and shows how ready are they to sort of embrace renewables and follow through energy transition. So what that means is that the energy sector and power sector investments are very attractive. But despite that, we see fossil fuels dominating the investments. You have $58 billion of investment, we estimate, that will be sort of required for the new capacity in this decade. And there's also very attractive $6 billion of renewables investment that we see happening in Indonesia. But with all these recent announcements on net zero carbon taxes, we see the fossil fuel investments shrinking. And these were part of projects that were already approved several years before. And they were on the basis of that power demand would increase very significantly. But with coronavirus and with the current macroeconomic situation where fuel prices are very high, both on coal and gas, we see this fossil fuels being negatively impacted. And there are countries such as Japan or China saying they'll stop funding fossil fuels or coal investments, right? So what this positions is it positions solar or renewables, and solar in particular, at a very attractive crossroads to scale up in Indonesia. And as you can see on that graph, we see that distributed solar, in terms of the CapEx investment, makes a sizable one, 44% of that 6.1 billion, but also utility scale solar is also quite significant. So here we present our solar outlook across Indonesia, and we see over 8 gigawatts of additions to this next decade. But within that, we see that if policies are following through, Indonesia has the potential to sustainably increase the annual installation rate to above a gigawatt level by end of this decade. But large-scale solar will dominate the installations, and there are conversations about feed-in tariff or government procured auction, and there are projects that are multi-gigawatt size announced these days. But the total additions by 2030 will be 50% large scale and 50% sort of distributed solar. The key driver, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is the government procurement or the government auctions that we foresee could potentially develop as part of this renewable energy target. The second aspect is the distributed solar policy, which I'll go down into. I think the distributed solar policy has been quite stagnant over the last sort of 2 years, 3 years back, but it's gaining a momentum, and that's pushing a strong momentum in the market. And we think that market reform is also good in terms of, we see PLN, which is the single utility buyer, they are starting to accept PPAs, and they are trying to sort of make them more future-proof, their mix. They're planning to reduce their coal capacity. So that will also help improve the industry dynamics for solar and other renewables. At the same time, we do see policy framework as being a challenge. It is common for Southeast Asia countries to have a target, but not necessarily have a strong implementation roadmap. So it very much depends on whether this build will be built out, on whether there will be a timely sort of milestones that can be reached in time, whether it is through feed-in tariff or whether it's through auction, whether that policy is clearly laid out. And the other aspect is what we've seen is, there was a time of subsidies, but those subsidies are being cut back pretty quickly. We can look at various countries around the world, including China or Vietnam. So as costs go down, we expect that certain policy will try to push the cost down, and that might impact profitability. So depending on how responsive government is, that could be a barrier. We have had local content requirement rules in Indonesia, which pushes up costs significantly, but the latest local content requirement rule does not necessarily impact DG Solar in a bit, but that's a potential topic to look out and could sort of be a hindrance to our industry. So here we show our solar capacity addition target and how that compares with the latest National Development Plan, Rupital. And we see solar capacity far exceeding that of the Rupital. And that is because we see that the cost competitiveness of long-term growth, particularly floating solar in hydro reservoirs, and CNI or commercial and industrial scale rooftop solar being very prominent in the longer term of Indonesia. As you can see there on the left side of the chart, in the short term, we expect certain hiccups or certain hurdles for policy to get through. For the industry, solar industry is still nascent. It's not extremely mature as other Southeast Asian markets. So just getting those lands or rooftop or policy smoothly, getting that ecosystem ready will take some time. That's why we think that there will be certain challenges, but it's very sizable of 2.6 gigawatts within 2025. But over long term, once that is settled, there's an enormous potential. And in terms of geographic distribution, definitely the demand centers of Java, Bali will be the largest one, where there could be land constraints, but driving the rooftop solar as well as certain floating solar available. The other regions, Sumatra, Sulawesi, have similar 4%, and sort of the Kalimantan 6%. That's kind of the government plans over there. So there was a rooftop solar regulation that was introduced, and we find that that's very promising, and it will unlock a lot of distributed solar investment, and primarily because it improves a lot of economics. So what's the key features that this policy brings about is that previously solar power projects could only export 65% of their power. And if it's more than that, it had to be sort of wasted with no compensation. But today, with this policy, there's 100% export tariff remuneration. And that can be very life-saving in terms of, or very meaningful in terms of the economics. This also has an impact on sizing of the project, right? People previously might not have sized their solar project based on what their need is, but based on so as to minimize export or losses. So that's an important part. And lastly, few other points are you can bank the power and change it up to 6 months rather than 3 months previously. You have a shorter licensing timeframe that makes things administratively easy and much more attractive proposition. The policy also does say that it will allow carbon trading, but it's not yet clarified, but that could potentially provide upside as a form of revenue for distributed solar prosumers who do produce. And so lastly, what I want to sort of leave this presentation is, the corporate PPA, or there are a lot of corporates who wants to start procuring renewables these days, And that's a hot topic in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, and all across the world. And what we see is Indonesia is the top 3, but with pretty small level, like 63 megawatts of capacity that is being contracted, announced. And we see this as a very good opening route to market over the long term. On the right, you look at the power tariffs, that is residential, industry, and businesses. We see that businesses have the highest cost of retail tariff. Retail tariff are subsidized today in Indonesia, and that if there was no subsidy, their solar value proposition becomes more attractive, and we do see that subsidy level declining. But as you can see that the LCOE, or the levelized cost of electricity for commercial PV, will decline below that of business by 2030 and will be very attractive. We need to keep in mind that these retail rates, or the power prices that the consumer pay, are increasing on an annual basis. So while it might not look as competitive today, and of course these are only showing averages, if those prices are increasing over long term, then that attractiveness is much more higher. So with this, we see Indonesia as a very promising solar market. Distributed solar economics will be helping so much with this current regulation. And I'm happy to take any questions or contribute on the later panel afterwards. Back to you, Candice.
Thank you, Rishab. Very professional and elaborate introduction. The following, we will have Ms. Spencer from GoodWe Solar Academy to explain the technology and breakthroughs of our system intelligence solar business modules solutions that GoodWe can provide to Indonesia.
Hello, I'm Spencer, Solution Engineer from GoodWe Solar Academy. I'm now supporting Australia and Southeast Asia for the PV system solution for the on-grid inverters. So today, I'm glad to introduce you GoodWe's commercial and industrial solution and some applications we've done in Southeast Asia. Today's sharing will be carried out from the following 4 aspects. First of all, let me give you an overview of GoodWe, who we are and what we do. GoodWe is a leading inverter manufacturer. Our vision is to create a new era of smart energy. As a proven of our vision, we've installed over 2 million units of inverters and helped save over 26 million tons of carbon dioxide. GoodWe starts our smart energy journey since 2010. In the past 10 years, we've developed in a dramatic speed and become a famous brand trusted by customers. We were listed on Shanghai Stock Exchange last year, and our business is keep expanding and growing. This picture shows our headquarters of GoodWe in Suzhou. GoodWe family now have over 2,300 staff, including over 500 research and development staff and over 70 overseas employees. Our global sales revenue breaks through $200 million last year. As a global company, we have branches, sales and service centers all over the world, so that all our clients can be served in time. We also have 2 research and development centers and 2 factories to ensure product innovation as well as production and delivery. As a well-known inverter manufacturer, GoodWe has won many awards recognized in the PV industry. For example, GoodWe is the only solar inverter manufacturer to win the TUV Rainland All Quality Matters Award for 6 consecutive years. We also awarded by WoodMackenzie as world's #1 hybrid storage inverter supplier. Next, let's look at some typical commercial and industrial system solutions and applications of GoodWe commercial projects. Here, the most typical case is a 380 volt and 400 volt grid connection. The system is specialized for commercial rooftops. In this system, the generated solar power will be consumed by load first, and then the rest power will feed into the grid. In commercial and industrial scenarios, normally we will have multiple inverters, so we can use SEC 1000 here, which is the communication box for the load consumption monitoring and also the export power limit as requested by grid companies. GoodWe also offers free online monitoring platform called SAMS Portal, which is short for Smart Energy Management System. It is a smart tool to help customers monitor their power plants in a visualized way and help maintenance. We also offers 220 volt three-phase products for the low voltage grid. Sorry, this is the low voltage, which is commonly used in the Latin American and some Southeast Asia regions. And in the large commercial products, we also offers products and the system solutions for high voltage scenario. In the high voltage system, the inverter output will be connected to the step-up transformer first, and then it will be connected to the distributed network. For the communication methods, we can now choose power line communication for cost saving. Here are our main products for the commercial and industrial application from 25 kilowatt to 136 kilowatt. We have the SMT series that have the 3 MPPTs, works from 25 to 36 kilowatt, and the MP series that offers both the low voltage and high voltage module with the 4 MPPTs from 50 to 80 kilowatt. We also have HT series, works from 73 to 136 kilowatt. And GoodWe commercial and industrial products are featured with full loads operation at 50 degree, and we also support up to 150% DC oversiding and 115 AC overloading. We also have the AFCI function to detect the arc fault at DC side in case of fire accident. So all the features can benefit your system net incomes. Here we can see that we also have an ultimate high power inverter, the HT 1500 volt series, which is specially designed for the large commercial and industrial application, and also for the large utility projects. This model is fully compatible with the mainstream high power modules, such as the 182 millimeter and 210 millimeter PV modules. And we will discuss this later. The HT 1500 volt series also offers second generation power line communication, as well as smart IV curve diagnosis and the SVG functions. Now let's look at GoodWe solution to be compatible with the high current and bifacial modules. With the continuous updating of the larger wafer size and higher efficiency, PV modules are produced by the 210 millimeter or 182 millimeter silicon wafers. 182 modules which expect to reach 610 volt, while the 210 half cut expect to reach 670 volt with even larger current. As we can see, the 182 millimeter wafer has been widely applied in the utility scale power plants and also some commercial rooftops. And our inverter could be fully adapted to the 182 millimeter modules. We can see that there are some mainstream 182 manufacturers that has the short circuit current from about 13 to 14 ampere. And we found that even the one with the largest short circuit current, Jinko, that has 14.9 is also below 15 ampere, which our inverter can support. Because our inverter can support maximum 15 ampere input current per string. And it is already been a mainstream combination for the 182 modules and HT inverters. So we are fully compatible with the 182 millimeter modules. While for the 210 millimeter PV modules, we offer single string connection of each MPPT solution so that we can have a maximum input current of 30 ampere. Now let's take Trina Vertex 600 volt and GoodWe 120 kilowatt HT as an example. As we can see, this short circuit current of the Vertex is 18.52 ampere, while the open circuit voltage is 41.5 at STC. So after some calculation, we can have 22 PV modules per string, and 12 strings are connected. And then we found that we still can have 132% DC oversiding. Here we need to pay attention that we should connect the PV strings to the even input of the MPPTs, because the even strings can actually allow higher input current. In Southeast Asia, there are many independent islands, so the PV and genset solution is a major concern. GoodWe products are also very flexible to be compatible with the genset. As we can see from the system layout here, the solar inverter will be connected to the PV and genset energy management system in the center here. It is the controller of the system. So the EMS will be connected to our inverters using the Modbus RTU through the RS485 cables. As a result, both the PV inverters and the genset can be controlled. For instance, the functions can be controlled like the on and off mode and the power output. And our inverter can be fully compatible with the EMS of two brands called Incombi and DEF. In the off-grid applications, the main difference is that the system is not connected to the grid. So the genset and the PV inverter forms an independent microgrid, and the genset actually plays the part of the grid. In this case, there's no X power to the grid. So the genset controller will control the PV power output through the frequency shifting function of the inverter. The inverter will measure the generated solar energy and the load consumption together. Once the PV power is higher than the load consumption, the frequency of the system will be adjusted, and then the inverter will start derating once it's over the frequency threshold. The frequency and volt curve can actually be edited through our SolarGo app, which is the GoodWe's configuration tool. Next, let's have a look at GoodWe's product features. GoodWe inverters can adapt to multiple environments. For example, for the multiple angle rooftops, we have up to 12 MPPTs, so it is very flexible for the system design. GoodWe inverters also features for the full load operation at high temperature and can also adapt to the coastal area because the HT series have the C5 protection level. For the lightning prone area, integrated type 1 SPD on the DC side is also available to be chosen. In high temperature areas such as the Southeast Asia, GoodWe inverters can still have excellent performance because we can keep the full loads at 50 degrees for SMT and MT models. And for the HT series, it won't derate until the 45 degrees. As we know, there's a hazard called the arc failure. GoodWe commercial products has an optional choice of the arc failure protection with the AFCI 2.0 level protection. This is the smart IV curve diagnosis. It is actually a very useful tool for the operation and maintenance for the large CNI and utility projects because it is more efficient and cost-saving than the traditional ways. It can support 20 arrow types and can help the operation and maintenance team to locate the errors. For example, the micro fractures, the shadow functions, and the open circuit conditions. It can locate those errors in a very short time, so it will save the time and also the labor cost for the operation and maintenance. In some hot and humid environments, such as in the Southeast Asia, the PID effect is more often to happen, which will cause the module derating rapidly. So GoodWe inverters are able to integrate anti-PID function to help repair the PID problems, so we can bring you more yielding. We also offers the flexible configuration methods. You can choose either through the LCD screen or use the SolarGo app via the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi. Well, now let's have a look at how GoodWe inverters ensures reliability and safety. On one hand, we have diverse tests either internally or externally via the third-party institutions. For example, the IP protection test is conducted by the TUV. And on the other hand, we also have strict quality management procedure in the factory. Here, as you can see through the pictures, we have strict controls on our production lines. We have like self-developed ATS tests to make sure that our inverters are 100% ready before shipment. Aging test also ensures our inverter are reliable in the extreme hot weather conditions. Our production line is regulated according to the ISO 9001. And we also have the standard anti-static plant to reduce the risk of the static from human bodies. Here are some case references, like the projects we've done in Southeast Asia. This is a 10 megawatts large projects we've done in India using our MT series. Another project is like a 15 megawatt, use our MT 80 kilowatt. We also worked with some famous companies like the Bosch. We installed a 4 million watt project for them using our MT series. And also we worked with Siemens for a 4 million watt project in India as well. We also have done some large projects in Vietnam, like the Ho Chi Minh City. We've done the 1 million project using our MT 60 kilowatt inverters. Here is another 7 megawatt project using our HT series in Vietnam. Yeah, we also done some projects in Thailand. This is another 2 megawatts projects. Thank you. So that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Spencer. Thanks for your sharing. Then let's welcome Julianto from SV Solar Warehouse. He mainly focused on distribution of solar PV and other related attributes in Indonesia. He would like to share how SV Solar could contribute or help EPC and installers to solving their needs for solar materials. Welcome, Julian.
Hi, thank you, Candice. Have you show my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you, Candice. Also, thanks to Rishab and Spencer for today's sharing. It's very insightful for us. Good afternoon to today's webinar participants, and thank you for joining on today's webinar. Previously, from Rishab, we have learned on what's Indonesia current situation on the regulation side and its potential market in Indonesia. And from Spencer, we have here around the technological availability, especially for the inverter in Indonesia. And from us, we will be share on how SV Solar could contribute to the PV development in Indonesia. As mentioned before by Candice, my name is Julianto, and I'm in charge for business development in Solar SP Warehouse. On this section, I will share about more about our company, who we are, what we do, and what our offering to our customer. SP Solar Warehouse is a solar PV material wholesaler and distributor, and its related attribute. We comes with the experience in distribution of electrical materials for around 20 years. We started the solar business just from retailing and installing. And during the time, we have heard most of our customers facing difficulties to have high quality solar PV products in Indonesia. So from that time, it is be our motivation to be one-stop solution to providing solar products and its services into bigger scale to make everyone in Indonesia can access and afford a solar system. We have the vision to make solar energy more accessible, affordable, and available to everyone in Indonesia. To achieve that, we have to ensure that our customer will have the right solar and energy storage product for the right application. And our business model is supplies the solar materials to our resellers, retailers, contractors, integrators, and the field tester installer for the reliable product they need for design, install, and maintaining the solar system. In SV Solar, we offer 4 benefits for our customers. The first one is the one-stop solution. Our customer will get solar material needs for the installation at one place, SV Solar. And as the first-hand distributor with direct contact with the leading manufacturer, we ensure that our customer will have the product availability with the latest technological update in Indonesia. And we offering ready stock product for our customer. As just-in-time supplier, we are able to deliver the product to the customer in the efficient and effective manners that reduce the delivery time frame for our customer. It's all for our customer project smoothness. And last but not least, our service go beyond merely the product provided. From the pre-sales, we will be happy to answer all of our customer questions relating to the topics of photovoltaics. To the after sales, our products are backed by the warranties from the manufacturer principals. So means all of this benefit will also benefit to our customer. This is the product brand that we have in our product portfolio. At SV Solar, we attach the great importance providing its customer and project partners with sound advice and high quality products. We only include high quality components into our product portfolio from the industry technological leaders. On our product line upside, we have these are the products that we are offering to our customer. We do have stocking everything from PV modules, inverters, battery or energy storage, and the optionals to the electrical needs, and e-mobility solution from the brand I have mentioned on the previous slide. These all products ensuring that we are indeed the place for all your solar needs. And for GoodWe inverters, especially to accommodate the solar installation or development in Indonesia, SV Solar as the GoodWe partners in Indonesia, we provide a wide range of GoodWe inverters for various applications in Indonesia. Most of GoodWe products are available in our inventory in Indonesia, so our customer can have this product, this GoodWe products ready in Indonesia and doesn't need to wait for the procurement. So it will be easy for our customer in the planning for the project execution. This is the solution that GoodWe offer that we also have in our inventory in Indonesia. As Spencer mentioned before, that SMT, MT product categorized in CNI solution, but also there is also the other two types for the CNI, for the small CNI like SDT and SDT-G2, which comes from 12 to 25 kilowatts and 2 MPPTs. On the residential sides, we have three types of GoodWe inverters, XS, DNS, and SDT-G2. XS and DNS single-phase inverter ranging from 700 to 6 kilowatts. For XS, they have 1 MPPT, while DNS and SDT-G2 comes with 2 MPPTs. For SDT-G2, it's 3-phase inverter with 4 to 15 kilowatts of power rating. Some product features of these three inverters is they have a lower startup voltage, means our customer could have produced more energy during at the earlier in the morning and the late of the afternoon. And they offer a highest efficiency, and they also built in export limit function. So in the region or area that doesn't covered by net metering, customers should still using PV system with the export limit function. On the storage solution, GoodWe also offer a very wide range of products. For the single phase, GoodWe have ES, SBP for the low voltage battery system hybrid, and EH and BH for the high voltage battery. The difference between four of this inverter is the ES and EH is the hybrid inverter. It's all-in-one hybrid inverter, while the SBP and BH is the AC retrofit or the battery inverter. This is suitable for the homeowner or business owner who already has the on-grid inverter and they would like to upgrade to the hybrid system. The power ranging start from 3 to 6 kilowatt. And for the three-phase system, we have ET and BT series, like single phase. ET is the hybrid inverter, all-in-one hybrid, and the BT is the AC retrofit inverter. The power rating for the three-phase inverter is 5 to 10 kilowatts, and all of this inverter comes with 2 MPPTs. Some product features for this storage solution is it's easy to set up via remote and application. And for the backup function, they have a UPS level switching, means when the power grid fail, the backup, they need the inverter only need less than 8 milliseconds to switch to the batteries. And the last solution from GoodWe is the battery solution. We have 3 types of battery that are also ready in Indonesia. The low voltage, we have a Seku A and Lynx Home U. Its capacity of 5.4 kilowatt hour, and it can be expandable up to 6 modules for one system. And this battery compatible with ES and SBB series. And on the other side, we have a Link Home S. It is high voltage battery, starting 7.5 kilowatts up to 20 kilowatt hour. And it is suitable for EH, BH, ET, and BT series. All of this inverter have project feature is modular design, means customer can upgrade at any time when they need the bigger capacity of the battery. So I think that all of my presentation today. If Bapak Ibu have a question relating to my presentation, please type on the question box. And if there is any inquiries, question, or discussion regarding GoodWe products in Indonesia, please do not hesitate to contact me via my mobile or email. Thank you very much. Back to you, Candice.
Good insights, Julian. Considering the time we needed to enter next section, panel discussion, we will have today's moderator, Dudi. He will lead today's discussion of the hot topics with our speakers.
Thank you, Candice.
Welcome, Dudi.
Yes, thank you. After hearing all the speakers, and now we're going to the panel discussion. To participants who have questions, please type the question and mention who you want to ask in the question box. But before that, let's discuss some hot topics with our speakers. I have several questions. I will ask Mr. Rishab first. Mr. Rishab, I have a question. What are the main impacts of the new MEMR regulation number 26 of 2021 in Indonesia, and how the market responds?
Thanks for the question. I think it's a very important question and interesting one. We see that the impact will be very positive in terms of, firstly, it indicates that the government is willing to support distributed solar, so that the policy growth that's very positive. Of course, there needs to be implementation and enforcement and execution in terms of the timing and the efficient. That needs still to be tested at scale. But one positive thing is we see that government is doing. The second impact, I think, is basically like I previously mentioned in my presentation, there were project sizes that might have been economical if it was of certain capacity, but because of previous policy, then this was not necessarily sized according to what might be best for that client. So it leaves room to explore more project sizes, which means more capacity being deployed. And also the fact that it can be 100% exported means that the economics are improved when only 65% is that. So I think this opens up the blanket of end user customers to a larger degree, and that also expands the market. That's also very positive. I think there is a question, like there is a comment around local constraint, but it's a bit vague. But from what we understand today, that those local constraints are not applied for rooftop solar, but rather only for government procurement. So that also takes away kind of one of a key barrier that was existing in solar market previously, where because of local content, it was even less economical from a project economic perspective for projects to go through. So all this point to a greater adoption of solar rooftop in Indonesia. But as we showed in our outlook, that it is usually still the large-scale solar that will dominate, because we're expecting a proper policy and these project sizes can be big. So it will take time for this nascent industry in Indonesia to sort of gather up and reach that scale, but it's a very good start on that right direction. And lastly, we think that companies that have large rooftop or multinational companies can get on this first and then gradually trickle down to the rest of the CNI first, and eventually every household at some point in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rishab. I think it's very informative. And the next question is for Ms. Spencer. In the first phase of the new technology of solar system, how would we respond for the new solar system technology?
Thank you, Dudi. It's a good question. So, first of all, GoodWe has a strong research team to keep us updated about new technology of solar industry. And we also have very quick response to the market dynamics. For example, we noticed the trend of ultimate large PV modules of 182 millimeter and 210 millimeter PV modules. Our research and development team quickly upgraded our inverter, and the Solar Academy designed the system solutions to be compatible with this large input currents. We also focus on the customer feedback. We always collect the information from the users through different platforms, such as our solar community website, and also from the after-sales team. And we keep developing and optimizing the functions of our inverters based on the customer's requirements, such as the AFCI functions and the SPD protections, so that GoodWe is able to be one of the leaders in the PV industry. Also, GoodWe Southeast Asia Director Jill treats Indonesia as a high priority market. The local bonded and after-sales warehouse are under development. That's all about my answers.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. I think that's clear enough. And I have another question. It's from Mr. Rishab again. Mr. Rishab, as we know, in China is one of the main producer of solar system. And now China is facing power shortage. What is the impact on Indonesia?
Yeah, I think this is a very hot topic in solar industry on how the prices are evolving and how will they impact the downstream markets or the solar markets. So what we're like most of the renewable energy technology, prices mean a lot in how that impacts the market development and deployment. And we can, generally a solar module panel could account for 35% of the total large-scale solar capex, slightly less for CNI or sort of rooftop solar. So what we're seeing is polysilicon prices, a key raw material of solar modules, going up through the roof, like started year perhaps around $12 per kg to now over $30 per kg just last month or so. We have logistics sort of shipping, that's also increasing 10% plus or so. So all these things, including other electrical balance of systems in a solar modules, going double digits about up. So what we're hearing in the market is that perhaps between 10 to 20% increase, more on the 15% increase in the solar modules, and that could mean a sort of project capex increase of about 8%. So this, when we talk to or when we hear like the key module supplier, they expect this particular situation to be in the case at least to the end of the year. Now we've seen power demand increase in China. The government has said that to control the emission intensity and the electrical intensity, they're sort of trying to make the industry consume less power. It is impacting solar supply chain. and their utilization rate in the factory and pushing the prices up. So I think there will be an upward pressure, and a certain part of that, the margins might be reduced for developers on that. So I would like to think this is a shorter term impact. So, but over the long term, the longer term cost declines will be there. And the overall cost competitiveness of solar will be there as we scale, as there's innovation with companies like GoodWe or other integrators or developers. It will be competitive in the long run, but there will be short hiccups like this happening in the market. Back to you, Dudi.
Thank you, Mr. Rishab. So the price is increasing in every aspect. I think it's very unfortunate. Yeah? So the last one, it's from Mr. Julianto. Mr. Julianto, could you suggest market research, analysis, and initial preparation before entry, current legal and business challenge, and the way to break the barriers?
Okay, thank you, Budi. Is it the market research analysis and other preparation legal in terms of starting business in the PV EPC?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So talking about market resource analysis, I think there is a lot of market research report that have been published by several research institutes like IESR. Maybe we can see also, I think they already also have that kind of a market report for Indonesia. And from the report that we figured out, Indonesia actually has a big potential for solar PV. From the IESR report itself, we see that around more than 20% of the early adopter will adopt this new technology of solar PV or will implement the solar PV in their house or industry. Means it's quite a lot of numbers of installation can be done for only early adopter generation. And for the current legal and business process, I think Indonesian government is doing business in Indonesia. Means they shrinking all of the requirement needs to starting a business. It's already a move to online instead of you have to do face-to-face to the government. So from starting business, it's quite I think it's quite easy at this moment in Indonesia, and maybe it's more a bit tricky on the technical side. Means when you are starting in the PC business, so you will have some sort of licenses to doing the installation, like a certified installer, a certified PV designer, or you have to have a license for the safety and environmental management. So I think that's the really initial preparation that everyone should apply for the doing a new business in solar EPC. And the other challenges or the barriers maybe on the product availability in Indonesia. We have to offering the good quality to the new businesses, so they can offering as well to the end customer. That's all, Budi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Julianto. It's very interesting to hear from you. Okay, at this time, we will go ahead and pick 2 or 3 questions from participants. Just a reminder, please start your questions and who do you want to ask in question box. So it looks like we have a few questions. Please for speakers who are asked to answer directly. The first question is from Teddy to Mr. Rishab. I think this is very interesting to discuss, and this question is already answered by Mr. Rishab in Q&A box. Can you answer it again in more detail? What are the opportunities and strategies for developing the solar panel business in the Southeast Asian region in the next 5 years?
Thanks. Thank you for this question. It's very interesting in how we have solar market that we expect to grow to say above 150 gigawatts per year, and it will need solar panels. That is a very hyper competitive commodity. So sort of competing in this business is not easy. One needs to be very price competitive, and the key drivers of what price competitiveness, one is scale, and the other one is, I think, electricity price with all the value chain as sort of a cost of the goods sold. So in terms of scale, the key players have above 10 gigawatt of manufacturing capacity of solar modules, and they have developed this over many years with research and development investments and innovations, trying to produce the latest, most efficiency modules. So doing that will be important. Within Southeast Asia, what we've seen Chinese OEM who dominate the solar supply chain invest in Southeast Asia as a part of duties that was slapped to those modules in US or Europe. So that has been the result. Now they've scaled it enough to even supply the domestic markets as they're growing. So one, on the opportunity strategy, you'd really need to think about how you're able to compete with the largest one with scale at the price point that they offer. To do that, do keep in mind that market intelligence, knowing what new policies are in the pipeline or what sort of power development plan are there, so that you can capture the next hot market within Southeast Asia and be there when the customer needs it, understanding what sort of type of product is needed, what market trends is changing. I think that will help anyone sort of be more successful in this region and in this business. Back to you, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Rishab. I think it's quite clear. So the next question is from Rizky to Mr. Julianto. What is the additional value of using GoodWe inverter compared to the others from product and service perspective?
Okay, thank you, Budi. For Pak Rizky, thank you for the question, Pak. In our opinion, GoodWe inverter have a good reputation in the PV inverter industry. If we can see on the slide from Spencer before, actually GoodWe spends over 500 research and development staff on their company, means that GoodWe is very serious on the technological side and the quality of the products. And on the other side, they also develop 2 R&D centers in China. And for the service perspective, in my opinion, that GoodWe also develop their own monitoring system that integrate with the next generation smart home in the future. So I think this is quite interesting and will be the added value for the GoodWe inverter comparing to the other competitors. Maybe Spencer, if you have some inputs to Pak Rizky, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Pat, for your answering. Actually, GoodWe inverters, we are actually very pays much attention to the innovations and the product upgrading. So we are one of the leaders in the PV industry, and we also have very strong research and development team. And by the way, our energy storage inverters also is ranked #1 in the world. So actually, GoodWe is a very trusted company chosen by many customers. And for the services, as I've mentioned, we have many sales and service centers all over the world so that our customers can be served in time. Yes, and also another thing I would like to add is that we really valued the customer feedbacks. So we are always collecting the feedbacks from our customers through the different ways so that we can upgrade our products based on the customer feedbacks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Next question is for Ms. Spencer. This is from Zaina. Does your company try to increase the efficiency of PV panels by cooling or phase change material?
Hello, Dudi, can you repeat?
This is a question from Zaina to Ms. Spencer. Does your company try to increase the efficiency of PV panels by cooling or phase change material?
Hi, yes. Actually, for increasing the, we are the inverter manufacturer, so we actually do care the efficiency of the PV panels. So the functions we have that can help increase the efficiency is the anti-PID functions. So as we all know that in some in areas like Southeast Asia, there's a PID effect caused by the panel attenuation. So the anti-PID functions can help to reduce these risks. So we will recover the PID effect at night so that it can bring us more yielding. And on the other hand, we also have the BIPV modules that can have higher efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. I think it's good enough. So I think we can only answer 2 questions. Thank you all for your question. Sorry we can't answer all your questions. To all the speakers, is there anything else you want to cover before we move on? Okay, back to you, Candice.
Thank you guys for your time to exploring the Indonesia solar market with us. I think it really gives us new points of view. As announced, 5 of our audience will be awarded the Xiaomi Band 6 in today's webinar. Congratulations to the winners. We will contact you soon for the address and details. Okay, that's all for today's webinar. Thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed it. Please continue to pay attention to our dynamic. We will keep holding kinds of activities to you. All the presentations will be shared by mail after today's webinar. If you have any questions, can reply the mail back to let us know. Thank you all. Bye-bye.